All righty, Mike, thank you for joining me today on this interview session. I'm super excited about this. I know how passionate you are about our SLS Framework Mastermind. And Mike, you are a you're an advisor, all right, financial advisor, insurance advisor, but more specifically, you're very passionate about what do you do specifically with
Huh?
those titles, and I want to go into that. And Mike joined us 2 months ago, and Mike has already gotten three inbound leads after having gone through the strategizing part of our course, which is picking your niche, focusing on where to find your ideal clients, and a bit of LinkedIn profile optimization, of course,
Mhm.
all of that part of the strategy bit. And Mike is ready to start lead generation, and then all the sales processes coming along as well. Mike, I'm again, I want to thank you for hopping on, and I want to pass the ball here to you to please introduce yourself. So tell us, where are you from, what it is exactly that you do, and what kind of work you do.
Sure. So I've been in the license back in 93 and 94, so back a ways. So I've been in the business for a long time. I worked as an employee for most of my career. So when I left that back in 2017, I don't want to go into be an entrepreneur. So what I do is I work with high net worth clients most of my career anyway. So what I do actually is I take people that are on the verge of retiring and give them a pathway, if you will, to go from the workplace and accumulating assets to the really actually can lead that work environment. And it's a whole new environment where they're going to is take and actually prepare for retirement. So it's a process of when you're saving money, you're putting away, you're accumulating your accounts and that. Now when you leave the workplace and you go from that into retirement, it's a whole different process. So I'm actually help them give them a process for actually going from here to going to there.
Mm,
So someone who's younger, who's just starting out is not one of my clients. I know clients, someone who's actually at retirement or 10 years closer to retirement. So those are clients I work with. What I do for them is actually I show them how to have an actual um, an income for life. So they take where they're currently making and have their base income covered or expenses covered through what I do. So
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that with us, Mike. And
yep.
I see here you've been, operating out of Orlando, Florida since 1995.
Yep.
And more specifically, I mean, what's interesting is you've been in the industry for so long. And if I look at, your past experience, manager of retirement plan investments at CBIZ, or I think in the US
CBiz.
you say
CBiz. CBiz.
CBiz. Here you go, CBiz. And then along your career, I keep seeing this trend of you wanting to provide help to people, and that transformation for them to transition with and to have lifetime income. And again, at Lamco, retirement plan service manager, internal sales support, right?
Yep.
So what's interesting is now you're modern times, right? Things have transitioned virtually, and what I wanted to talk about is before joining the SLS Framework Mastermind, and I want to talk more on a recent timeline. No need to go all the way back. I want to talk about the difficulties you may have had
Sure.
to have taken that lifelong experience, professional experience of working with people on the verge of retirement, and how you had perhaps difficulties focusing on finding your ideal client
Yes.
online. And yeah, I just wanted you to talk a bit more about that.
So that's a great question. And when you think about it as a practitioner, if you're passionate about working with people, okay, that's one thing. But the question is, how do you go from knowing your marketplace and being able to practice in front of your clients to actually going on your own and saying, how do I find these people? And I know a lot about marketing, I know a lot about business, but there are all these little bucket and containers all over the place, right? If I said I was going to use, hey, you're a pretty smart guy, you know about this, that. I said, yeah, but I don't know how to get this put together. So what this did for me in the past, it was like I knew I had to acknowledge and accept the fact that I can't do this on my own. Now I could, but I'm like the little piece over here, I have a funnel over here, and I have like a bits and pieces everywhere, right? So I knew I had to look for something that actually could take me and and take my knowledge, but I needed something I could actually build into. So this is me. It actually showcased my background. So LinkedIn for me was pretty obvious framework, if you will, or I'll call it a container.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I actually saw your partner's video, I said, "This is." At first, it spoke to me because he's very professional, but it was for advisors only. Now, the advisory market is very different than the marketing field, if you will, right? There are certain nuances and certain things that, and so just like I say, there's 10 different choices out there. My question wasn't which one's the most expensive or the cheapest. It was which one will get the job done for me. And I know if I get in the right system, I can sell, no problem. The question is what particular framework will get the job done for me the best. And that's what I came across. So it gave me from a place of how do I do this? I knew where I wanted to go, but I didn't have the buckets, or I didn't have the actual. Think of a frame of a car, right? And you're going to build on top of that. And so I didn't have the framework to build onto. It was like piece over here, piece over there. And my referrals only take me so far. So if you look at most, and what I see the client does is they're sitting back here saying, they're probably looking at you, whoever you are, as an advisor, and probably through the people. And I've gone a long way to people, if it's a referral, but clients are very knowledgeable today. Their first thing is to Google your name. They're going to say, so you don't come across as an expert.
And basically before joining, you were basically looking for, you were definitely, you knew that, there's something to be had on LinkedIn. You knew you had to transition that passion you had for your type of ideal clients online. And basically you were shopping around, you found that, you landed on us, and it's a perfect transition to my next question. I want to talk about basically after you joined the SLS Framework Mastermind. I wanted to dive deeper into how much more clarity you have about finding your ideal client, how much more clarity you have about getting in front of them, scheduling meetings, and just that confidence boost that you have, and just like you said, processes for you to get in front of them.
Great
I want to talk
question.
about how that looks now easier for you to do.
Before it was confusion. I was like so passionate about what I do, but if you got to have the marketing channel solid, working for you all the time. So now, as I went through the course, is broke up into modules, which the content is really, really high quality, but not just that it actually works. So as I went through the content, I'm like, this is actually showing me what to do, where to put it, but also what sequence. So I'm like, and so I wake up now and I'm excited because I know I'm on the right path. I'm actually, versus like taking, you can do a funnel, you can do a website, you can do all this stuff, but you got to have sometimes it's too much. So this allows you to build your weapon, if you will, your process, your mechanism, without doing all unnecessary stuff. It's all going back into building the same car that will deliver to me quality leads. But what it does is it allows my process to see me as the expert. For example, I didn't think I was going to get leads or appointments before I started doing the actual outbound, right? But what happened was
the active lead generation, basically.
Just from actually, you hear like, oh, do your LinkedIn profile, whatever. And then I actually said, no, wait a minute, I need to take this seriously. And I follow the steps to where it says, hey, put on this section, put some of your articles or your posts relevant to your marketplace. So you are adding value. But what happens is it just sits there, but in a good way, people can go back to it. So as you're building this house, every week it looks better, it looks more professional. At the end, it's like, wow, it all fits together now. So what happened was, just through doing that, as I posted things, they could see that, hey, this guy really is an expert in this, versus what does this guy do? He's an advisor. What does that mean? Okay. So as I'm writing these posts and I'm actually getting traction now, because my market is seeing that, they're saying, hey, what do you mean by that? So that I could see from putting a post up, from following like the modules, it's starting to work already.
And what you just said, for example, about optimizing your profile, like how does your profile look now? Like, who does it talk to? And actually, my next question was like, if you can share with us a win so far since joining, and I think it's an excellent transition into that, where you optimize your profile, just like you said, and you posted some articles bringing value to your ideal clients and your ideal prospects. And can you tell us a bit more about now how your profile looks like, and
Sure.
like who are you talking to? And how is it resonating with your ideal clients?
So I help medical professionals who are transitioning from the workplace into retirement. The biggest question is they don't want to get caught off guard and have a market correction that drops their portfolio 25, 30%, because as they're over age 50, which I am, you're very, very aware of not wanting to lose money. Your also second question is, how am I going to take this pot of money and create income or paycheck for myself, right? So my banner answers those questions, right? And so my market comes across, oh, that's what you want to take your message and let that meet them where their mind is. Let's intersect. You have agreement. I'm not trying to convince them. So this guy's like, he wanted it because I can't, I'm not, if you're like a millennial, I'll help you, but they're thinking about growth. So these people are like, gosh, I'm 62 years old. I don't want to lose money. I don't want to run out of money, but how am I going to pay for my bills? So I show them that. And my profile speaks to that. It speaks to their top fears, speaks to what's keeping them up at night. Like that's what I want. If you talk about only solutions, pardon me, people are more attracted to their problems. How do I solve this problem? Because if I have history in my career of seeing people lose all their money. It's very so subconsciously that's in their head. Like, how do I do this from I've got this money saved up, but how do I create an income from that? So I solve that problem that's in their head first and foremost. Now, the problem in this person's head, my target market, is different than maybe Joe's. So it teaches you, which is hard at first, to actually niche down so you can serve. So people said they're gonna raise their hand and say, "Oh, that's me," versus trying to be across the board. You think, "Oh, I want to be everything to all people." You'll appeal to nobody. Whereas what this teaches you, there's a whole module on this where you define your ideal client and what your messaging is. You do the research. I would have interviewed clients that actually have the same problem. I made sure I knew in their head what was actually going through their mind. Some of the things I share with the group were actually just these 3 to 5 things are my clients' top worries. So if I'm talking about X, their minds and why, they're going to blow you off. So in other words, there's so many people to focus on in my niche that I'm not going to focus on that because I can serve these people, but they're going to raise their hand and say, yes, please. Hello. Because I'm not talking about, oh, Amazon grew. Like that's not in their mind, or what's Bitcoin doing today? So this
They
allowed
want a
me,
transformation, basically,
yeah.
just like.
And like they can go back to my profile. I looked at how I purchased the course from you guys. I said, I want someone that I know can get, here's what I want. Who can get me there? Clients that they say, well, who is talking about my problem? So you do that, but it's in this, you're building this house, if you will, or this structure, if you will, that allows you to showcase your background, what you're good at. And the thing about LinkedIn is you can actually dive into that, all these contacts and carve out your niche. So it's very important to speak to these people. And most people have an advisor, or founder, we help. So that's okay, but it doesn't answer in there. So again, I'll wrap this up, is that every client has a top worry or fear in their head, right? And they're looking for professionals to lead them. Tell me what to do. If you can't talk to their fear, their concern, what keeps them up at night, there's no need to listen to you. So you let you stand out in a field of barking dogs, let you stand above the crowd and say, hey, come here, I'll help you. So does that answer your question? Or?
Absolutely, it does. And I took a look at your profile as well. It was very impressive, and I just want to thank you that to the fact that you have so much passion for, the people you're trying to help. I'm just thankful that to have you on the market, in your area, in the US. I mean, obviously your whole your playing field is across states now since it's all virtual. But and Mike, I wanted to talk about after you optimize your profile and after you were solid in terms of focusing down on who you wanted to target and how to find them via Sales Navigator, thanks to our
Yeah.
expansive training on Sales Navigator. I wanted to
Yes.
hear more about how you got these 3 inbound leads just from optimizing your profile and posting these articles. So basically, you didn't even do any type of lead generation yet. And I want to talk about how these 3 inbound leads that approached you to schedule meetings, how they went, and how you got, I mean, how was that experience basically?
So it's going through the modules and talking about the LinkedIn profile and the importance of having it customized to your market, and also talking about posting relevant content that adds value to your clients. So as I was doing that, it'll show you which is LinkedIn's good for that. It'll show you not just how many likes you have, but it shows you how many times your article is viewed. It also shows you what the person's title was, where they're from. So you start to see what sticks, right? So as you're building out these target market, these people, right? And you know what's on their mind, you're going to speak to that. Not to nip it, but this is you want to serve them. What do they need help with? So from doing that, I had a few people raise their hand and say, hey, I didn't know you did that. I know you did this, but I didn't know you did that. And I'm retiring, and like he's one person who's 70 years old. He's working because he doesn't know he likes what he does, but it's a physician, wants to scale way back, but he wants to make sure his income needs are met still. So as I was going through it, I was just following the coursework and implementing these few ideas. You'll see I have 2 or 3 posts up there, and it talks about these kinds of things. So they reached out and said, hey, they just reached out on their own, which is unusual. Usually you're chasing people. I should put it that way, but so that just 3 people reached out, and 1 really solid case. And that's not without doing any outbound anything.
Mm,
I'm not one to say, oh, I'm gonna do, but like I'm pretty convinced of my abilities that if I can find the right person, not because I want to close them, it's because I know from doing research what's on their minds, what they need help with, and that's what they need is someone who's confident to do that. So this really, again, it goes from making your job like frustrating to like really enjoying what you're doing. So, but that's your question. But
it
if
does.
you don't follow the framework, you have to do things. It's not. I got to submit and say, you know what? I know more than you than about what I do, but you know the system better than I do.
Mm,
So I have to trust that the system will lead me along, which it does, this path. And when
mm,
you do that and you follow, always amazing people go, well, I don't know. Follow the system. It's a proven process. If you start doing that, results come like clockwork. So
yep.
I actually want to make sure that when I actually go start pushing things out there, I'm prepared to handle it. So, but just like I said, just one, just I look at ROI as a business person. As a businessman, I say, okay, from probably 1 sale, this will pay for my expenses of the courses multiple times. So what I'm saying is, when you look at your value, which service to go with, which product to go with, whatever, is ask yourself which one is gives you the best ROI long term.
Mm. I think what's interesting is you answered my next question, was which would have been, what
Sorry
would
about
you
that.
say to someone? No, that's excellent. What would have you said? But yeah,
I always heard those questions. I'm sorry, go ahead.
to someone who's on the edge of joining the SLS Framework Mastermind, but you just answered it. From all the way from the SLS Framework Mastermind itself, the course,
Yeah.
to the community in which I'm super happy to have you on those weekly coaching calls. Whether asking me questions, the amazing questions that you have every week. You know, listening to what others have to bring up on, and then listening, picking up on the messaging that perhaps you've heard another advisor use, getting them results and using that to their advantage. And I think you answered it, unless you wanted to add something.
Yeah, there's a lot of things out there that there's courses and there's, there's hacks and there's this and the other. They'll make a slight difference in your business, a slight difference, which is great. This is the only thing I actually found that there's a few things I'll talk about that real quick that takes all of it and puts it together. This is you and your partner's main business, right? It's all you guys do. It's like your passion, right?
Yep.
What stuck out to me was you two guys build this business and you're passionate about it. This isn't like one of your projects. It's your business, right? So the other part that's really hard to find is to me this is huge. There are 2 calls every single week to hop on and ask questions. So I'm stuck on this part. You don't sit there just Google it. You actually go online or you go onto this Zoom call and I ask you a question. 2 days, like Tuesday and Thursday, every Tuesday and Thursday, like clockwork, they're there. Boom, boom. You guys are committed to it, and that makes a huge difference. And also, just from listening to other people, like I had one call last week, and it was Yvonne. I think she shared
financial advisor from Toronto.
Two sentences. It's just the languaging that I was like, wait. And it's like, you have to submit to, I don't know, you can be the best, whatever, but you don't know what you don't know. So I'm like, look, this course was a gift to myself. So I don't have to worry about, it's like, I have everything laid out like a boom, 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 like that. So, but if you get the right, you might make a difference. But like to have that structure, you have work, ask questions, utilize that. And that's what really made the difference for me was I was like, these guys have their stuff together. The coursework is more than solid and they're very passionate. One thing your partner told me that was like, it struck me, this was a little different off the beaten path. He was like, wanted to have a quality product, wanted to have interested in improving their lives and becoming more successful, not just here, but successful outside of here. That struck me as like, these are the kind of guys I want to work with. I want to be around. I want to have access to, because you're always improving. You're always making the content better. So those are the real things that, you could find a course, you could find they're out there, but you really have to ask yourself which structure is going to serve me the best.
Yes.
I got the sales call. I was like, that was what told me was where I was as a person ready to buy. I was a 1 call close. Usually I'm a 5 call close. So, but the thing was, the system worked on me perfectly. So, is that your question? Or?
It absolutely did, Mike. I appreciate you hopping on today's interview session. I'm just happy to have you around within our community, and more importantly, I'm happy to have you for your prospects, because honestly, the way you talk about helping people with lifetime income and the way you have experience of understanding these type of people who have this type of problem in their lives is honestly bar none the best. And I know you will just absolutely crush it in terms of your business, helping others change their lives, and overall, we're in this together, and I appreciate you for hopping on today's call, and it'll be a wrap for today.
Great. Sounds good. Thanks so much.
Yeah, my pleasure, Mike.